Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Yellow Card podcast. It is episode 20. Episode 20. Um,
The AJ De La Gaza
the
episode.
AJ De La Garza episode. Yes, even though we're not going to be talking anything about AJ De La Garza, it's the AJ De La Garza episode. How about that? Um,
So, real
but
quick before Diego moves on, if you haven't checked that out, please do because that was a very fun interview for us.
yes, please do. And also, the number 19 is an AJ De La Garza's mind. And it was episode number 19 for Yellow Card Podcast. So how coincidental. That's all I gotta say.
That would
But
just be very interesting for us.
hey, listen, it could be just a match made in heaven. That's all. Um, but anyways, listen, we got a lot to talk about this week in regards to the English Premier League because that stove continues to just heat up real quick, very quick. In fact, this weekend we are we are treated for a very nice matchup between Manchester United, of course. I'm a big fan of them, but also we got another big fan of Liverpool on here, which is Chris Jones. As you can see, he's having a little bit of a mini stroke with whatever hand motions he's making. And then we got, of
Not at
course,
all.
Switzerland with us, which is Everton, an Everton fan right here with Andrew Fasciano. So real quick, we want to give a preview of the Manchester United versus Liverpool game because this was a big one, and it's not just because it's Manchester, and it's not just because it's Liverpool, but there's a lot on the table right here, right? So one, we can talk about like whoever wins this match is probably going to be the dominant force of the EPL moving forward, just because both teams are just looking very solid, right? But there's also a lot of history behind where both teams have been as of this league. Like, for example, last time that Manchester United was first in the league with 17 games haven't played was back in the 2002 2003 either 2002 or 2003 season when Ferguson was their coach. As a matter of fact, they went on to win in that Champions League, that Champions League, that Premier that Premier League season. But for Liverpool, though, Liverpool just continues to be extremely dominant. I mean, they're still in the Champions League, which shame on Manchester United for blowing that one up. Um, their lineup continues to be just extremely strong, and they're just even just being second place in the English Premier League with all the injuries that they have succumbed as of this.
Third place.
Oh, they're third place. Okay.
Leicester won yesterday. They're in second.
Yeah, we can forget about Leicester.
Please do.
But even with all the injuries and everything, which, as Mourinho said, the only real injury that Liverpool's dealing with is Virgil van Dijk. But besides that, I'm gonna open the floor up to Chris because I know he's excited for this matchup to come. What are some thoughts that you have on Liverpool? And talk to me as to like how they should line up to face this Manchester United team that seems to be firing off in all cylinders.
Yeah, I mean they're just gonna go with their classic 4-3-3. I mean they're not gonna go anything too crazy here, but I do think we're gonna get along the lines of to start up front. We're gonna get Mane, Firmino, and Salah. In the midfield, we're gonna get Wijnaldum, Thiago, and Oxlade Chamberlain, and then in the back end, we're gonna get Robertson. We're gonna get Fabinho. I think we're gonna get Henderson again. He looked very good last time that they played against Southampton. And then Trent Alexander-Arnold in the back. And then obviously the guy Allison's going to be in between as the goaltender. So I don't necessarily see them going crazy with the formation. Maybe we'll see James Milner play instead of Oxlade Chamberlain. But other than that, I mean, I think it's like a lock for the lineup for them. And I think moving forward too, this team, so the last time they played a Premier League game was the beginning of January. They lost to Southampton 1-0. Danny Ings scored in the second minute, and it was just a stalemate the rest of the way. This game today, it's either going for me personally, it's going to go one of two ways. It's going to go to the classic Liverpool playing better than the better competition in the Premier League, or they're going to literally just say, okay, look, we'll gladly take just a point, and this will be a draw. To me personally, I just don't see how Man United wins this game. Switzerland, how you feeling down there? They've been awfully quiet. Also, by the way, we put up a poll on the Twitter page, and 57% predicted it was going to be a draw for the Everton fans. Just so you know.
Yeah, I voted in that poll. I voted a draw. Me personally, I hope we get like a crazy, maybe like a 3-3 draw. I want some late drama, some controversy. I mean, I don't know. In all honesty, I don't know how truly neutral I can be in any game involving Liverpool, just because of the intense hatred between Liverpool and Everton. But I mean, for the sake of the company I'm in, I'll try and do my best to stay.
No. It's fine.
He just dropped
against the world. It's fine.
He just dropped the Steve Carell The Office line for the sake of the company. I love that.
I can't believe you did that.
I know my role. I'm in the middle. We got Diego Sporting United, Chris Liverpool. So yeah, I want the draw. I want as many goals as possible, and I want drama and controversy to make it as exciting as possible. I mean, it's a huge game. We're still relatively early in the season, so it's not like this is a title decider, I wouldn't say, but I think it could be used as a very important platform or stepping stone. If United win it, they'll be 6 points clear of Liverpool, which is not an insignificant gap.
But it's at least a gap that they have advantage of, right? Especially for United, who I believe has an easier cupcake of a schedule coming up as well, with Fulham and Sheffield United. That's their next 2 games.
Yeah, and
well, let's not say an easy cupcake, because Fulham also just went on to beating Chelsea. All of a sudden now they're that scary little team in between that's causing problems. Sheffield finally just won their first game of
Fulham lost to Chelsea yesterday, bud.
So who did Fulham beat? Because there was a
they drew with Tottenham.
Tottenham. Never mind.
I knew that's what it was.
One of those two. It had to involve with that Mourinho pass. That's all I know.
By the way, quick update. Basically, the lineup I said minus Oxlade-Chamberlain, literally nailed on the head. Shaqiri's going to get the start at the midfield spot,
as he should. I mean, he's actually been lights out too. And he's an extremely reliable midfielder for Liverpool. That's one of those like aces under your sleeve that Jurgen Klopp has on Liverpool. In the meanwhile, for like Manchester United, though, I'm not sure if I feel happy about this lineup, or I'm not sure if I like the lineup, because
I like it. I like it as a Liverpool fan.
It's a 4-2-3-1 formation, right? But I just don't think Anthony Martial deserves to start. And the reason why I say that is because his finishing touches are not as elaborate as they should be for somebody of his caliber. Like for me, the right forward for this game should really be Edinson Cavani. Now, I know it's Edinson Cavani; he's old as hell, but he's still reliable. But if we're gonna talk about somebody young to finish up front, it should be Mason Greenwood, and he's not in the lineup, and I don't understand that why. I like the McTominay and I like the Fred stopper kind of position there. I don't like it by the same token though, because I feel like that should be another person in there. I feel like that should be Van de Beek, or that should be even a creator like Juan Mata in there. Something that creates offense for Manchester United.
There's nothing I love more than when Diego talks about the Manchester United lineup, and his opinion on Fred changes every single game. It's my favorite thing of all time. This guy cusses out Fred 2 weeks ago, and now he's like, I like him as a defensive stopper today. But he's going to be the one that's going to cost you the game probably, and you're going to be pissed about it.
And I say this, Fred is good against big-ticketed teams like Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham, Everton, Manchester City, those type of guys. But the problem for him is he gets carried away, and he doesn't know how to properly distribute the ball around, and then it becomes a liability issue in where the defense could be in attacking mode, and all of a sudden we're screwed because now we're in a 3-against-2 type of situation where you're dealing with Mo Salah, Firmino, and Monet coming at you, which in reality feels more like a 5-against-2.
So not for nothing, but no Alex Telles today. You guys going Luke Shaw?
I know that is ridiculous. I would have gone with Alex Hayes. Not to discredit Luke Shaw, because Luke Shaw is also a very good defender, and he's reliable. I mean, he's got the body size too, so maybe a little bit of physicality added in there. But I like the Alex Telles mindset because he's creative, something that Luke Shaw doesn't really have much of. He's more of a kick and run kind of game, while Alex Telles is more of a kind of like that word that's used a lot, the tiki taka kind of thing.
Can I give you a couple stats in this game real quick?
Go for it.
All right. So the first one is that Liverpool has won their last 2 home Premier League games against Manchester United, with the last time that they won three in a row against Manchester United was in March of 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Manchester United are winless in their last 4 Premier League games against Liverpool, having 2 draws and 2 losses, their longest run without a win against their rivals since the run of 5 between March of 2000 and January 2002. Liverpool are winless in their 3 Premier League games, their last 3 Premier League games, failing to score in their last 2. The last time that they went 4 without a win in February was February of 2017, around the 5 games that they had. And while they've not failed to score in 3 consecutive league games since March of 2005. And Liverpool lost their first league game of 2021, but haven't started the calendar year with consecutive league defeats since 1993. However, the Reds are unbeaten in their last 67 home league games with 55 wins and 12 draws, and finding the net in each of their last 42 at Anfield. So looking at stats today, personally, just doesn't look good for Manchester United.
You're right, but first place also didn't look good for Manchester United, and all of a sudden we're still in first place. So while stats are reliable and everything, it's very good history that we're building into it. I think we let the game do its talking, and then we can talk about stats from there. I personally think Manchester United could easily lose this one like they did against Tottenham, but they very well could draw.
They haven't lost an EPL game since November, Diego. They're due.
Liverpool is due for a crash, and they still haven't crashed yet. So anybody.
Hey, I don't know. I don't know. Considering 2 draws and a loss in their last 3, it's kind of a crash.
Well, considering that Mo Salah wants to leave Liverpool, that's also a crash. So, anyways, moving on.
Let's move on, because Diego and I will argue about this after the recording, the entire game, and the content would just be unreal.
It would be unreal. But you know what? I will say, it does scare me that there is so much in the line, and that Ollie is kind of not good with pressure, to be honest with you. I don't think he should be sacked just yet, because, like I've said in previous episodes, I think the problem for Manchester United is much more than just a manager. But for Liverpool, I worry about playing the physical game because of injuries that you guys have had to deal with the rest of the season. And while you guys have been able to overcome it, you still got a big task ahead of you, which is the Champions League. And I wouldn't want to risk that if I was Liverpool, just being flat out honest. But besides that, there's also a lot of continuous content building up from the EPL as well. We got Leicester now in second place. We got Harry Kane going off for Tottenham. We got a situation with Aston Villa with COVID-19 that is unbelievable and heartbreaking to hear, considering that Aston Villa all of a sudden has been just continuing to be relatively good. I mean, they really are a good team. I just wish that they had a little bit more more offensive power to count on, because I really think they could be in the top 5 for this year. I mean, as a matter of fact, their game against Everton got postponed. That was a match that I was looking forward to see, because it's 2 really good teams again going at each other. So Andrew, how do you feel about this game being postponed? What were some concerns that you were having coming against a really good Aston Villa as they've been showing, and what are some hopeful things that you have for Everton for the rest of their campaign?
Yeah, it was like you said, definitely a game I was looking forward to. I mean, Aston Villa have only played 15 games this season, and they're ahead of Arsenal, who have played 18. So they've been good this year. Um, I guess basically the story was obviously in the FA Cup against Liverpool, they had to play a youth team essentially because all their senior players were quarantining or self-isolating, and I guess the logic was they weren't going to be able to get back into their training facilities until Saturday. So they requested for the game to be postponed. Premier League agreed. Um, Obviously, I think that the health of the athletes should be the primary concern. So if the game needs to be postponed, it needs to be postponed. Um, in terms of what I was looking forward to, I think Everton last time out had a great win against Wolves away from home. It was a very impressive tactical setup from Carlo Ancelotti. With no striker in his starting 11, he managed to play Gylfi Sigurdsson as a false nine, essentially, and manufacture goals away from home, which I was not too optimistic going into that one, but I was impressed. So I think I would have liked to see them build upon that momentum and get right back into action, especially considering I think Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin probably would have been healthy and back in the lineup for this game. So it's a little unfortunate on that front that they miss out on getting right back into it and building on what they accomplished last time. Um, but then on the other hand, having a little bit extra rest right now in a busy period is never the worst thing in the world. It gives them a little bit more time to heal up and get healthy. Um, and I hope that when Aston Villa and Everton do play, I just hope that both teams will be healthy because I think when they're both at full strength, that has the potential to be a really, really exciting game between two of the best
I
that
would
the
agree.
Premier League has outside of the top six.
No, I would agree. And then, I mean, we also got to talk about Tottenham, Manchester City, and now there is. I mean, the league is pretty much open for anybody who's in the top 9 right now, because the differential points is just 7 points, right? So you worry about teams like Manchester City, obviously Everton, Chelsea somehow, even though I really thought Chelsea should be number 1 right now, considering their amazing signings that they had. Southampton is in here in the mix, and West Ham is in the mix. Aston Villa is just a little bit out of it, but again, they've only played 15 games. How do we feel about that really tight race between the number 1 spot to the 9th spot, in which, again, the league is pretty much open to anybody to take the lead on?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I think it's a 7 team race. Anybody in the top 7 right now has a realistic chance of winning. Southampton and West Ham have been great all year long, but I think the highest that they will potentially get up to would be the Europa League spot in the table. So personally, for me, I think it's anybody's game between one through 7. But they're gonna have to start getting hot now. This is the time of the year to get hot. The schedule's slowly dwindling down. You got teams like Liverpool, Man City, and Chelsea that are still in the Champions League, so their focus could still be there. You have a bunch of different aspects that can go into this. So for me personally, anybody in the top 7 has a realistic shot at winning. But I do still think that my beginning of the year, I said Manchester City, and I do think that they have a realistic chance of still doing so. Yeah. Even though they're they're 5th right now, they've given up the fewest goals in 16 games so far. So for me personally, Manchester City is still the favorite to win. I think as of right now, how I would play it out, I think it would go Manchester City. I think it would go Liverpool. I think it would go Tottenham, and I think it would go Manchester United in that order.
Okay. So again, Chelsea for me, I don't know if it's Frank Lampard. I don't know if it's just the players not having
So
chemistry.
they got rumors coming out the wazoo right now. Like
Yeah,
Tomori's supposed to be signing with AC Milan as of tomorrow. Callum Hudson-Odoi might want out. Marcos Alonso might be getting transferred as well. They have a bunch of question marks that I think are interfering with the player right now for this team that they have to figure it out. So, I mean, not for nothing. If Chelsea doesn't finish in the top four this year, I think that you might want to start looking in another direction if you're the Chelsea Grateful, because if Frank Lampard can't lead this talent to a top four spot in the Premier League, I don't know if he's your guy.
right. No, I agree. But I mean, I also so even though we talk about Southampton being that shitty team that we've always known, we kind of gotta give them some credit too because they've put on quite the show in the past 18 games that they've played. I mean, their record's 8-5-5, and they're tied in a record with Chelsea. Granted,
Yep.
there is goal differential, of course, because I mean Chelsea has a
I,
goal
I, think, I,
factory
but I
in
think
front of them.
I think it's only like 7. I don't think it's anything
Exactly,
like ridiculous.
but I wonder if part of that motivation that they got, the inspiration of having brought back somebody like what was that Everton
Theo Walcott.
Theo Walcott. Yeah, I mean he's been unreal for Southampton. I bet I bet at least for an Everton fan, I mean that's gotta be painful to watch. Thinking that you could have had your two best forwards playing together in the lineup, and probably being if they were still together, I wouldn't be surprised if Everton was probably second or even first of the league if those two were playing together.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for him, to be honest. I think he didn't really have much of a future in Carlo Ancelotti's plan, so it's not a move that I hate necessarily. He had some good moments with Everton. I think probably the obvious highlight is last season he scored a winner against Watford away from home when they were down 2-0. He came back and won. That was a great moment. And I think at times he was an important part of the team. But I think probably he wasn't a part of the team going forward. And I believe his contract is up after this season. So I think it's probably best for him to be able to go back to Southampton and get regular game time. And I think really Danny Ings has been incredible for them.
Yeah, yes.
There was a while in his career where it looked like he was just going to turn out to be someone who wasn't quite good enough to make it at Liverpool and bounced around a couple teams. But I think he's, along with Jamie Vardy and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I'd say he's probably established himself as one of the best. If you look at strikers outside of the big 6 clubs in the Premier League, I think he's, if not the best, one of the best strikers that the other 14 teams have to offer right now. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he scored that winner against Liverpool. He's been incredible. And I think as long as he keeps producing at this level, there's no reason why they can't contend for a Europa League spot this season.
No, I agree.
Well, also, too, you could tell in their game yesterday against Leicester, when they didn't have Danny Ings, that Southampton was a completely different team. Yep. So,
I mean, we could technically say that about any team right now, like we've said in the top 10 of the whole entire league right now.
Yeah.
Manchester United is a complete different team without Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford. Liverpool is a complete different team without Mo Salah and Sadio Mane in there. Everton is a completely different team without James Rodriguez and Richarlison in there. Chelsea's another one that's completely different without Mason Mount and Timo Werner in there, even though they have a stacked substitutional locker room that they could use. They're still a complete different team. Manchester City is another different team without Sterling and Kevin De Bruyne. So, I mean, the list goes on and on and on, right? But
yeah, and if we want to talk about teams that are led by like one incredible performer, we got to give the time of day to Tottenham and Harry Kane, because I think
exactly.
I think it's not a particularly hot take at this point in time to say that he's the runaway favorite for player of the season right now. He scored 12 goals, 11 assists. I think he scored almost 30 goals before, but his previous high for assists was 7 in 2016-17, I believe. So he's just added a whole nother dimension to his game. Him and Son are an incredible dynamic duo. I'm not sure there's a better 1-2 punch in the Premier League right now.
And
Well,
I think a lot of his game has also changed with how Mourinho has repurposed him,
Mm-hmm.
aside of being just that forward. You know,
Yep.
he's a playmaker. He's all over the field. Like, that is one thing that like Mourinho's so well respected for throughout the game. He's able to convert players into being multi-purposeful. So, sorry, Chris, you were going to say something.
Yeah.
I just think the big thing and we see it on the stat sheet on how Harry Kane's had such a great year, is because teams are locking in on either him or Son. And for the majority of the part, they're trying to lock in on Son to cut down his playmaking abilities. And basically what it does is it opens the field up and it gets Harry Kane better looks and better opportunities to set up his teammates than it would if they didn't have Son. So I think you've got to give, if you're giving Harry Kane credit, you have to give double the credit, in my opinion, to Son as well.
I mean, I think the credit goes for the full entire team, though, because if we're just gonna base it on them too, you also have to worry about somebody like Steven Bergwijn. You have to worry about Lucas Moura in the attacking line. You gotta worry about the whole entire Tottenham team. I think Mourinho has done a really great job with this team, and I mean that's why he's known as the special one, right? But earlier I mentioned about people wanting out of clubs. Like I said, Mo Salah maybe wanting out of a club. Um, Manchester City in the pursuit for additional signings. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm a bit disappointed at how quiet the January transfer window has been. I mean, it seemed like the rest of the media and even ourselves were hyping it out to be a big transfer window. And it really kind of hasn't been, besides the fact of Mesut Ozil finally leaving Arsenal and going to repurpose himself in Turkey with somebody like Fenerbahce. But I mean, what are you guys' takes on this transfer window? Andrew, I'm gonna start with you.
Yeah, I think to be fair, it is still somewhat early. Like a lot of the action in January often happens in the last 24 or 48 hours. So we'll see whether or not that kind of springs it into life once we get there. But I think the other thing is that this is a pretty unprecedented financial time for a lot of these clubs. Like, I don't know about numbers for everyone, but I know that Everton had record losses this year, largely due to revenue that they lost because of the COVID pandemic. So I think that January window is often a window where teams kind of feel the pressure and are a little desperate and spend maybe more money than they should on players. And I think maybe that because of that loss in funds that came with the absence of fans and the whole pandemic, maybe there's less of an ability to do that right now.
Okay. All right. Chris, what about you? I mean, there's still rumors around some transfers, but what are your takes?
I do agree with Andrew. I do think that we're still in the middle of January, so I think in the next week or so we're going to start seeing things pick up. But for me personally, there's three teams that you have to watch out for in the transfer window. And that's AC Milan, who's trying to maintain atop of the Serie A. So they're looking for help anywhere between depth at forward, help on the defense. You know, we mentioned Tomare potentially going to AC Milan as well as soon as tomorrow. They've talked to guys like Mario Mandzukic to get some depth to help Ibrahimovic up front. You know, there's so many AC Milans and so many things right now that they're trying to get their first Serie A title since I want to say the mid 2000s, to be honest. I could be mistaken. I'd have to look it up. But another team to watch out for is Chelsea, because now a bunch of these Chelsea players are coming into rumors as of late. Tomore, Hudson Odoi, Marcos Alonso, just to name a couple. They're coming up relatively a lot now. So I think that's another team you have to watch out for. And the third team, Real Madrid. Did you know that they're potentially loaning Eder Militao to Bayern Munich? That's the rumor going around right now.
I hadn't heard
Real Madrid might be in a circus as well, because they're going to try and get back on top of the La Liga as well, because Atletico Madrid has it by the grip right now.
Yeah.
So those are my 3 teams to watch out for in the transfer window.
I mean, speaking of Atletico Madrid, they finally just covered the hole that Thomas Partey left in them with Musa Dembele, and I'm not sure they even just recovered the hole. I think they made the hole even that much better with adding this guy in there. But I think personally for me, another 3 teams to watch out for is whatever plans Pochettino has for PSG, right? Because there's the Dele Alli rumors. I think it would be interesting to see where Sergio Ramos goes. I mean, there's rumors of him going to Manchester United, and that would be classic Manchester United to just add somebody who's on their last years, wanting to finish their statement and go on. I mean, not gonna lie to you, Sergio Ramos as a defender for Manchester United would be quite enticing, considering that he's an offensive defender as well. He creates offensive chances. Um, but then you wonder what do you do with Harry Maguire, or what do you do with Victor Lindelof, right?
Get rid of them.
Personally, I would love that, because I think Harry Maguire is just nothing but a name rather than an actual player, in my opinion. I think when he came to Manchester United, he's just kind of been a complete bust. Then you also got to worry about what is Juventus looking to do, because there were rumors earlier in the season of them wanting to go after Lacazette as well. But now there's rumors of maybe even potentially adding Lionel Messi, which if they do, my God, what a team that would be.
Their rumors that they're going to do right now is they're trying to get Olivier Giroud from Chelsea to get striker
still,
depth up front.
I mean, still, what a team that would be. Juventus is already a world-class team as it is. I mean, just adding somebody, Oliver Giroud, Lacazette, I mean, that's just insane.
That's another team, Arsenal. What are they going to do? They're sitting at 11 right now. If I know Mikel Arteta, I think I know Mikel Arteta, they're not done. They're going they're going to have some new talent coming in.
But if you're Arsenal's ownership though, right? Until what point do you say it's not the signings, it's you?
So
because
basically,
I like Mikel Arteta, but I just I don't know that he's managing correctly. I just don't know that yet.
I don't even think they know.
Yeah,
that's the sad thing.
I don't think they know either. I'm curious to see what Tottenham will do, because kind of what you mentioned earlier, Diego, with the Pochettino going to PSG, there's a couple players that could be looking to leave Tottenham, specifically Dele Alli. I've seen rumors that Christian Eriksen might go back to Tottenham, and even though he wanted to leave Tottenham, and that's why he went over to Italy, I think Fabrizio Romano reported that there's rumors that Jose Mourinho might want him. So that could be if they do end up letting Dele Alli go, that could be something to keep an eye on to kind of replace him in that midfield role.
I've heard the same rumor that you've heard, but I've also heard that his wages are absurd, and
I heard that too.
It might prevent the loan from going back.
I heard that too. Thank you for bringing that up, because
you're welcome. That's what I'm here for.
Goddamn,
I'm here to argue with Diego on the occasion, and then back him up when need be.
Oh my God, I love that. Now so a couple of last minute things, right? What do we think Real Madrid really needs to do right now? Because not only do they have the money, not only do they have the name and attention they need in order to secure big names, but I'm not sure they have the chemistry they need. I mean, and you also got a locker room of half of your guys that are in the next 2 to 3 years looking at possible retirement.
Yeah.
So if you are Real Madrid, what are some pieces you start to look into to rebuild Real Madrid and repurpose Real Madrid? I mean, I heard rumors of Mo Salah wanting to Real Madrid, which would be incredible. I just don't think that Spanish La Liga is his style of game, because he's just so quick and he's so good with the ball. But again, Lionel Messi's quick and he's good with the ball, and he's been solid, for a lack of a better word, in the La Liga. So, Chris, give me two names that if you were Real Madrid's boss that you would want in Real Madrid. Same for you, Andrew, and I'll give my two names lastly.
Oh boy. I think the more likely name for Real Madrid to be looking at is David Alaba from Bayern Munich. I think they desperately need help at center back, and especially if you're going to let Eder Militao go to Bayern Munich on loan, you're going to definitely need somebody back there, and he would be a guy that could fit in and play with either Varane or Sergio Ramos and just fill in and be a great, excellent defensive piece for them. Other than that, I mean, this rumor got brought up many, many, many moons ago. I might just stop bringing it back now. If I'm them, not for nothing, I would say goodbye to Thibaut Courtois. And I would personally, if I'm them, I don't know. If Manchester United is not happy with David De Gea, I'm giving them a call as soon as possible, and I'd bring him in as soon as possible.
Yeah, no, that's really not bad at all, honestly, because you're right. Thibaut Courtois has been nothing but a bust for Real Madrid. He hasn't been.
They should have never let Navas go to PSG.
Never. That was their biggest mistake. But anyways, Andrew, give us your two names.
Yeah, so this might be a little bit of a cop-out answer because I'm going to say that they actually shouldn't be targeting big-name players right now. I think.
Yes. Agreed. David Alaba, not a big name, but good enough for a depth piece. Yeah. I like it.
I think in your sort of intro, Diego, when you talked about a lot of the squad kind of getting up there in age, I think that can kind of be a trap that these sort of the biggest teams, the Barcelonas, Real Madrid, PSG, can fall in, where they have players that are aging and they replace them with other star players who are sort of at the end of their prime rather than reinvesting into young talent. So I would personally like to see Real Madrid go out and get a couple of young players who maybe wouldn't lead the team right now this season, but can then set you up in the future to build a core that's coming through together and build that chemistry that you also talked about, Diego, that's kind of lacking right now. One name who I don't think he'll be on the move this January, but a player who kind of strikes me as a Real Madrid type of player is Erling Haaland. I think he kind of has that cockiness and belief in himself that Real Madrid loves to have in their players. So maybe some point down the line he could.
God, I hope not.
I actually love that take because you're absolutely right. He is that cocky, arrogant little SOB that belongs in Real Madrid. I think for me, there are two names that stand out. Number one, you got to worry about what to partner Eden Hazard with, considering that you invested all this money and the guy has been under purposeful and utilized for Real Madrid, right? So for me, personally, a name that I think of is Memphis Depay, even though he's been talked
linked
about
to Barcelona.
Linked to Barcelona. I don't think he will go to Barcelona, personally. I agree with the David Alaba take. However, I think actually Upamecano goes to Real Madrid because he is that good name that he has, but is one of those names that you can repurpose behind somebody like Rafael Varane and God, what's this guy's other name? Not Ramos. What's the other center back for?
Talk about Metallo that's on loan, right?
No. Either way, the name will eventually pop up to me. But again, it's a center back need that Real Madrid is.
Oh, you think it just as in like their back defensive line as well?
Yeah.
Oh, Marcelo.
Thank you. There you go. Thank you. So again, if Sergio Ramos does go, right, they're gonna need a center back. What more fulfilling than somebody that's coming off a French League One, right? That kind of has a similar game to then repurpose himself in Spain to then become a high ticketed item. Something that Real Madrid has been known of, which is to make incredible profits out of their talented players. So that's it for me. That's it for me on Real Madrid. I think Depay and Upamecano will be solid additions. I think League One also has some talents brewing in there, not just the EPL. It could be potentials for the next of the other two leagues to finally build up on. But with that said, we're 22 minutes away from the match of the weekend. So if you're listening, you may want to pay attention to the Couch Guy Sports or Yellow Card Podcast Twitter handle, because we might be up to something, which is really not good, but it's really good for content. So, so anyways, thank you guys for tuning in to episode 20. Looking forward to episode 21. And go Red Devils.
Oh, disgusting. And press the end button, will you? Press the end button. Press the end button on that. Oh, I've never been more disgusted in my life right now.
Anyways, make sure you're following Podcast Guy on Twitter. And again, excuse me for my little brother who's having a stroke. I don't know what's going on with him.
No, I'm throwing up at your disgusting take about Manchester United at the podcast.
Anyways, guys, tune in to episode 21 next week. Thank you again. And as always, Diego Gavas here, Andrew Fasciano, and our little problematic son, Chris Jones. Thank you very much. See you guys next week.